Hi YouTube, Tim Unger here. In this video we are going to evaluate expressions with rational exponents. So fractional exponents, most are negative. These problems are part of a do now, so a warm up. Okay, so let's take a look at it. So we've got 1,000 to the negative 2/3 power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first get my pen to work here. And then once I do that, what I'm going to do is I am going to write this as 1 over 1,000. That last zero was a bit big. Okay, 1 over 1,000 to the positive 2/3 power. And then we can go backwards from power of a power. So when you take a power of a power, you multiply the powers together. So I could go backwards, and what I can do is I can do 1,000 to the 1/3 power. And then what I could do is I could then square that. So 1/3 times 2 is 2/3, right? So we went backwards there. So the cube root of 1,000 is 10. So this becomes 1 over 10 squared. All right, so that's going to equal 1 over 100, which you could also write that as a decimal 0.01. So either of these would be acceptable answers in this case. Let's keep going. All right, so in problem 2, we're going to evaluate negative 625 to the negative 2/4 power. And you might see there's going to be a problem with this, but we'll see. One thing I could do is I could simplify this. I could make this, negative 625 to the negative 1/2 power. So I can start by simplifying it right off the bat. And then what I can do is do 1 over negative 625 to the 1/2 power. Now, this isn't going to give me a real number. This is undefined. You could put an imaginary number here, but for the purposes of this video, we're going to leave it as undefined here. So if you put this in a calculator, most calculators will give you undefined. All right, let's keep going. All right, so problem 3, we're going to evaluate 169 to the negative 3/2 power. Okay, so I'm going to write this as 1 over 169 to the 3/2 power. We'll use power of a power here. We'll break it apart into 1 over 169 to the 1/2 power. And then we'll cube that. Okay, so first we're going to take the square root of 169. That's going to be 13. Well, 13 cubed. So that's 13 times 13 times 13. And if I do that out on a calculator here, that's going to give me 2,197. So our solution here is going to be 1 over 2,197. All right, let's keep going. Problem 4, let's evaluate negative 125 to the 2/3 power. So I'm going to write this as 1 over negative 125 to the positive 2/3 power, which is going to be 1. We're going to break this apart over negative 125 to the 1/3 power, and then we'll square that. Okay, so the cube root of negative 125 is negative 5. So it's going to be 1 over negative 5 squared, which is -5 times -5, which is going to be positive 25. So we have 1 over 25. Another way you might see this is 0.04. All right, so either of these solutions would be good. And let's keep going. All right, next one, we're going to evaluate -27 to the -4/3 power. I'm going to write this as 1 over -27 to the +4/3 power. Okay, let me fix my 3 there. That's not the best. Okay. All right, so now we can break this apart. Let me get my equal sign. There we go. So break it apart. We'll have -27 to the 1/3 power, and we'll raise that to the 4th power. So the cube root of -27 is -3. So we'll have 1 over -3 now to the 4th power. And that's going to be 4 -3's multiplied together, which is going to give us a positive 81. So 1 over 81 for this particular problem. All right, one more to go. We're going to evaluate -64 to the -5/3 power. So I'm going to write this as 1 over -64 to the +5/3 power. I'm then going to break it apart into 1 over -64. Fix that 6. -64 to the 1/3 power. And we'll put that to the 5th power here. Okay, so the cube root of -64 is going to be -4. And we're going to raise that to the 5th power. And that's going to be 1024. That's going to be a -1024. So it's going to be -1 over 1024. Okay, so that's our solution for the last one. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. If it was, please like and subscribe.